Hey, happy Friday. To God be the glory. This is going to be our last video in the Carrier series. We've been talking about what God expects us to carry into the world. And so we're going to land on this. And it is that God expects us to be social justice carriers. That we have to be social justice carriers. And social justice is just to ensure that every human being has access to things that we need to exist in our society or to be healthy and whole in our society. That there are systems in place to ensure that there's equitable and fair treatment regarding these resources and benefits that we need to live. And so it's things like fair housing, food, clothes, livable wages, education, healthcare. All of those are areas that social justice promotes, that no matter where you live, no matter your race, no matter your gender, everyone in the community and all communities deserve access to these resources. And I'm here to tell you that Jesus felt the same way. Felt the same way. And a lot of times we know that low income or minority groups do not receive, based on current systems and practices and institutions, they do not have fair and equitable access to these resources and benefits. But I want to put it in the context for us to understand that we as Christians have been charged to be advocates, promoters, and carriers of social justice in our world. So go with me. I want to take you to the book of John, chapter 12, verses 7 and 8. And to give you just a little history of the story, here we have Mary, who has this expensive perfume, what they call an alabaster box of perfume. And she has now broken the perfume and poured it over to wash on Jesus' feet, to wash Jesus' feet. And all the onlookers, the disciples and everyone looking on, said, why would she waste that expensive perfume to pour on his feet? It could have been sold to give food to the poor or clothes to the poor. Why would she do that? And so now here Jesus is responding to their, indignation of why she would do such a thing. Unheard of such a thing. He says in verse 7, leave her alone. Jesus replied, it was intended that she should save this perfume for the day of my burial. You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me. So he was like, she was supposed to do this. You're going to always have the poor, but I'm going to leave. And she's preparing me for my burial, for my crucifixion. And when I leave, you will have plenty enough time to feed the poor, to clothe them, to ensure that they are treated fair, that their needs are met. You have plenty of time to help the oppressed, the brokenhearted. You have plenty of time, because that's what social justice is about. Jesus was bringing justice into an unjust world. That's what he was doing. And we as Christians are to bring justice into an unjust world. See, the poor will always be with us, you all. That will never go away. But what Jesus was saying, that the poor will be with you, but it does not mean that they don't deserve equitable treatment. Jesus really made sure that women were treated fairly when he was in the earth, that the poor were treated fairly, they were fed, that the disabled, who was probably considered outcasts and they were, not accepted, he made sure that they were healed. He was an advocate for them. And to really confirm this, if we would go to Matthew chapter 35, verses 31 through 46, he says, he's telling them, you know, when I was hungry, you did not feed me. When I was thirsty, you did not give me water. You know, when I was in prison, you did not come visit me. When I was sick, you did not comfort me, right? You didn't do any of these things. You didn't come see about me. When I was homeless, you didn't give me shelter. And they were like, Jesus, when did we see you and not do that? He said, when you didn't do it to your fellow human being, you didn't do it to me. He was promoting social justice because he was saying the poor is going to always be with you. And so you're going to have to take on the mission and carry on after I'm gone to make sure that the poor will have what they need. To whom much is given, much is required. We can't just depend on the government to do this. Jesus led the charge in that, showing his disciples and the world where his heart was. We as Christians need to understand that we too are to carry that on. When we see people in need, we're to help. We should not rest until everyone in our who's a human has clean water. Maybe we'll never get there, in our lifetime, or we may never see it. But we shouldn't rest until, we're helping someone at our time to have a clean drink of water. Does that make sense? We may never be able to make sure that everyone has what we would deem as livable wages or have more than enough. But it is our responsibility to promote systems and institutions that promote equitable wages, to get behind them, to vote, to do whatever we need to do. But also, if we see someone lacking, we can fill the gap. Maybe there is a single mom who can't afford her child's school supplies or school clothes for the fall, and you have more than enough. Social justice would say that you would go and fill that gap. Jesus left that for us to do, to see someone homeless and to give them shelter or help them to find shelter, however way you want to put it. But it is our role to be advocates, to promote fair treatment and just treatment of the marginalized, of the minorities or the less fortunate. Jesus did. When he saw someone being oppressed, he was an advocate of social justice. And you and us as Christians who are to carry on Christ's mission and ministry, we too, when we see social justice, injustices, I'm going to say that, towards our fellow human beings, we are to act and we are to respond accordingly. Because it is our responsibility to carry social justice into the world. Much love, Keita.